The Board of Finance meeting come to order. Do we have everybody here? Except for Andy. Andy has designated Fred to sit in his place. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got him.
Yes. So moved.
Second.
No, we don't need a vote.
Oh, all
Andy
right.
has the power, the absent person has the power to designate his
Okay.
replacement. So let's start with swimming. Given that it's so cold outside and gonna snow tonight. Martha?
I'm just dialing into this meeting, otherwise it will not continue,
Recording.
recording. So I'm just typing in the numbers, which hopefully will magically work.
We're doing good. I love winter. Yeah.
You've been skiing yet?
Oh, yeah. We're skiing every weekend.
Okay, so now I just have,
We're heading out next week.
Okay.
We're gonna get JP.
you think we're good?
Oh, I love JP. I've been there a long time.
Is that you, Martha, or do we have a guest?
That's me. Yes, I'm just gonna send my volume. Okay. Okay, so BJ, if you want me to go over the small sheet that Anita has provided you. Anita,
Oh, I didn't see that.
I'm sorry, it should be
Here.
right there.
Oh,
So you asked us to go to work at finding funding for the swim lines, and Anita and Don spent a great deal of time noodling this, and this is the end result of where it's coming from, etc. So you'll see at the top that they've got some funding, some $675 out of one. The park and rec repairs and maintenance, they're gonna take from there. They're gonna take 3,400 out of park and rec field and facility supplies. And the swim lines budgets, there were 2 lines for that, swim lines and supplies repairs. So $27.94 and $300 will come out of those lines. And that brings, if you go down to the next one, you can start to see where they've added things up, and that comes to $7,844 on those 3 lines, which would take down the appropriation from $27,813, which is what we asked for last week, to $19,969.
Ooh, 19,000 what?
Those numbers aren't on here. It's
Okay.
just you have to add.
But the what, 19,000?
I think-
$19,969 is what the appropriation would have to be from the reserve.
Are those numbers on this?
No.
sheet?
No,
No.
it's,
This is
Well,
for
I don't
this
see the
fiscal year.
19,000.
No, they're
you have
not.
to add, and they're not, Anita didn't do she didn't do it until tonight.
Okay,
19,960.
If you add these columns here,
Which
1,
one?
2, and 3, these 3, David, down here, if you add these 3 and subtract it from what we asked for last week
Them are the 3 different appropriations.
Which one?
78,
to 19,
They asked for 27,
813.
813.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
19,813.
No,
We're gonna do
we
the
asked for
appropriation.
27, 813.
But the appropriations is 19,813.
No.
19,969.
Where's that?
19,969.
That came,
And the rest, the balance is coming from carryover?
From various accounts on top that they
34
worked
here.
through.
we did 1350 here.
And what are the numbers? What's the carryover number? So we get to the total. What's the total?
From
Well, the
Total's
totals,
two-
we're gonna have to ask for an appropriation of 19,969. They're gonna take $7,834 to cover the
7,834, okay,
844.
Yeah.
Okay.
844.
And that'll cover the 27,813, like last week when we met, that was the number. We were like, go back, get some more like funding sources so we can get it on, like, see if we can get it under 20. And so now it's under 20.
So it looks like the total is 27,813.
Right.
right?
Correct.
And so we would be basically approving the carryover of 7844 plus a new appropriation of 19,969.
Well, the 78.
That's not a carryover,
no.
It's just,
It's in this year's budget.
It's in the budget. It's just, they're just gonna spend it, yeah.
Oh, it's in the current year budget.
Right.
And there was, if you, on the minutes from last week, it said that one of them was the 1350. The other part was 34. And he had left with for his swim lines. We took the $3,094, reducing it down to 19,969. So the from fund balance would be the 19,969.
So we need a motion for a special appropriation to Park and Rec for that number. I will move that we appropriate $19,969 to Park and Rec to cover the expenses of swim lines.
I'll second that.
So, question, we found other sources, right? Because the total cost was $28,000. Does detracting from those other sources affect in any way services that we had already anticipated providing to folks?
No, me and Don spoke about that. That's where we came up with these numbers.
So this is a good number that doesn't change anything in essence, right?
Correct.
Don's happy with it. I mean, he feels that he can get through the rest of this fiscal year with these numbers.
Anna?
And we haven't taken any money already out of appropriated any money for any of these budgets throughout the year already, correct? For Park and Rec? Okay.
So basically Park and Rec is proceeding in a direction under budget. And they can afford this additional 7844 to go toward.
To bring it down to our net below 20 grand, so we don't have to go to
Right.
town meeting.
Squeaking it in.
We did our homework.
Is this gonna be trouble going forward? Because we've not had swim line issues in the past beyond we budgeted for it and they didn't get installed, right? So that's a different issue. So right now, we're replacing a whole bunch of them.
You were,
And so,
I think you missed part of the presentation last week when we first talked about this.
yeah,
But basically, you know, and I think it was 3 years ago, you provided some money to Harry to buy new swim lines.
Yeah.
But the swim lines that he purchased were for pools. They did not hold up well in the salt water. And those need to be replaced. And he also purchased the wrong type of buoys for the lines and the buoy markers for the moorings.
so, but
This is.
I was there for that, but my point is, how frequently are we gonna have to budget for this?
Matt Lynch was here last week, our harbor master, and he said, you should get 10 to 15 years out of the lines, I think is what he said. The moorings, the chain is the thing that might go first in 5 years. But
Right,
he said you can add to chain, you can take some of the old chain off, add to it. All's good.
Okay.
Hi. Dimitri.
Should we proceed to vote?
And did you make a motion?
I made the
Yeah.
motion and Fred
Seconded.
seconded
Fred
it.
second.
All right, so the motion been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? And all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Can we talk about geese?
That's it. That was all.
That was all
that.
in here.
That's all inclusive of what we talked about just now. That's,
it says
The
goose
addling. The addling number is
The geese part.
the
It's in
geese
there.
part. That was
goose
that.
control, so that's only one.
Only we had one.
We had one goose.
Just one goose.
This is the only one we're
because the
controlling.
majority of them are at the country club.
That's true.
Let's hope the bird flu doesn't take care of that problem
But
for
what you're,
us.
I have to look at that. So what you're saying is that this 19,969
Includes,
includes the geese as well as the
Yes, it does.
lines. And
Yeah,
if the geese can swim out to the lines, then God bless them.
Okay.
Okay, thanks. Next up, Parks and Rec operating budget for next year.
We'd like to call Don to the table.
Got a birthday coming up, yeah. Thanks.
Don't forget it.
Thanks for reminding me.
Okay.
Well,
Thank you, Don, for coming.
oh, you're welcome.
So I just see the summary, the bottom line for Parks and Rec is a 24-25 budget of 15,000, a proposed budget for next year of 16,000 that was approved by the Board of Selectmen, obviously representing just $1,000 increase.
Where are we at?
No,
No,
DJ. No,
That total of
394,
390.
805, right?
oh,
From
I'm
last year.
sorry. Yeah.
Park and Rec.
Yeah, forget what I just said, right. It was in a different line item. Goes from 394 to 399, so it's a $4,800, $4,891 increase.
It's not bad, huh?
And salaries are now solid.
moved. You were moved upstairs, I think, too.
Which room?
Do you want the computer? If the computer's in the mezzanine level. If you need help, Steve, I'll come up and help you set up.
Do God's work.
Send, yeah, it's okay. Steve, you can just text me. My phone's here, just text.
The salaries were good, the salary committee, agreed on it. The one thing that changed from the old paper to the new paper, the salaries for all of the Park and Rec other wages was approved at 174. But of the 174, 6,000 Don wanted to add into his line called P&R programs and pay the referees and stuff out of that line. So that was, I put the 174 originally up there, and I forgot to deduct the 6.
But we could vote on the 399, 890,
Correct.
or 695, right?
Correct.
696, yeah.
Mhm.
696.
696.
Yep.
So Don, or Martha for that matter, we're going to addle the goose eggs, but then we've got $6,800 to do what? What's the ongoing goose control?
So the appropriation that you did is just for the spring season now. And this budget is for
Going
the
forward.
fall and the following spring. If it works, if it doesn't work,
But for what service? Is this all for addling?
Yes,
you gotta keep
It's
going.
cheaper than the dog.
Right.
hopefully more effective
Mhm.
too. Yeah, we had to have the appropriation to get through the springtime this year, and this is going forward.
Looking at full-time salaries, if I look at 24-25 budget, it's 86,359, right?
Mhm.
And it's going to 142,276.
So if you look at the next line and the explanation there. Because part-time salaries is going to
If you
zero.
add in the part-time line,
His
We're moving.
part-time person
I got it.
Moving
Okay.
Winnie to 30 hours
Yep,
versus
thank you.
29.
So I'll move the 399,696.
Second.
Anna seconded, Michelle. Any discussion or further questions of Don?
Mm-mm.
And I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Then we have Townwoods Park.
Now it's
Right. So Town Woods Park
This is similar. There's the goose stuff that we added down on Townwoods Park contracted.
Mm.
$2,000 to do the same stuff for Townwoods Park. And also on that line item is for Eric Olson, $890 for building alarm stuff that he can really detail, but
The
that's
2,000 is for the
Geese, similar.
geese addling and
Yes.
890 for Eric.
yes. What we did, we had a total number for geese for the egg addling, and we divided it up between the areas.
Mhm.
And having it at Townwoods Park because they're there, it also, we get some reimbursement from Line for that as well.
Right.
Otherwise, things are pretty much the same.
I'll move the 152,708.
Wait, I think
What's
it's
the number you moved?
152.
581,904. Is that?
No, not that we're down to the
Oh,
bottom.
that includes.
No, it's this one on the bottom, 152,708.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? The motion carries. Just out of curiosity, Don, the Addlers, did they report good success with other communities when they've done this?
I can't really answer that. I don't know. I'm sure they'll tell you yes. So it's kind of a trial. That's what the appropriation for, to see how it goes, put it in the
Mhm.
budget in case we're working it. They did say that it's something you just can't do once and walk away, because obviously they lay eggs every year. So we're gonna review it in the springtime or after the springtime and make the decision whether to go forward or not.
Is it possible that when the geese don't see their eggs hatching, they'll abandon the location in the future? You don't
That's
know.
the,
I'm not
that's the
gonna-
idea. We had a lady with a dog and a canoe. I mean,
Yeah.
this was long ago. Andy and I remember.
Yeah.
And it was like 15 grand a year that we paid her, and she would go out at 6 a.m. and she would addle the eggs, and it worked, except all of the geese go to country club. So
That's not our problem.
wherever you're addling the eggs, it kind of worked, but
Yeah,
they find a new place.
I think
So,
it's gonna be, I think that's correct. You're gonna battle them constantly.
I guess there's value if you reduce the population somewhat, right? I
Right.
mean, you're
You're not
probably
gonna get rid of them, right? You're gonna
Is that
try
the
to
thought?
control it a little bit.
Is,
don't say that on record.
is this, because this, you're working with Deep on this, is there some way to identify the flock? Versus like, I'm sure there's a billion of them over in East Lyme, like, do some of them come or do they stay with each other? Like,
So
they
can we
sort
tag
of,
them?
well, not tag them, but like, some way to actually quantitatively say like, this is actually doing something versus like, these guys move out of this area, but then some other ones move in and just try it. Like, is this doing anything? Because it's doing nothing really, aside from just maybe keeping a few from this. We're spending a lot of money on it. So it's, if this isn't yielding anything productive,
Right.
then I can't say that I'd like to figure out how do we know it's doing something? Like, it sounds like it's sort of like, yeah, we're going to try it. Okay, great. But like, what's the measurement of it's working or not working?
Sarah.
Sarah,
Has done
on the
an
Parks and Rec Commission is one who's been dealing with the folks the most. I'm reluctant to speak on their behalf of how effective something is that we haven't even really done before with them, but your questions are valid, I think,
Yeah.
like, is it gonna work?
We don't know, but like, just what's the measurement that it worked or didn't work? Because if you're just like, yeah, hopefully it does something, then when we get back together next year and we're like, what was the something that we were hoping was gonna happen? We're like, well, we know the geese, they're not all leaving, so
Well, it's something that
there's,
certainly we'll be
Well-
talking about as we're going.
yeah, I would like to see a measurement to know like what,
How many eggs do they addle?
Yeah.
They should be doing counts.
Yeah.
There's literally nothing else you can do. I mean, I deal with this
Right.
with my apartment.
but if
complexes
it
'cause
doesn't,
we
if
have-
it, does it do anything? Like,
It
how do
does.
you
If you-
measure that?
And it does dissuade, if they are addled eggs, then they don't hatch and the flock moves on. And we've done this here in town
Yeah,
20 years ago we were doing.
Well, I was on the board of
You just
finance
have
when
to
we
keep
did it.
doing
The
it.
woman admitted that she stopped addling them
Well, it was a
because,
different person, but
Yeah.
the latter person didn't want to do that.
yeah, she decided she didn't want to do it. She didn't like that. That was being mean. So she didn't do it.
The original person we hired did.
She
do that.
did do it.
Right, but if you do nothing, I can assure you the results,
Mhm.
right? So if the results are you have a giant flock of geese that everyone is complaining about versus, not having them because you've added the eggs, that's the result. So we have tried not doing this. And apparently people call and they're like, we have geese on Rogers
Yeah.
Lake. So if we don't want to do it, then that's an easy thing to just cut out of the budget. But if we want to respond to people's complaints.
No, I
and
agree.
would
I
lean
just,
on-
I just,
on the
I, if,
selectmen.
like, if I was asking for it, I'd be like, I want to see 20% less geese next year.
I mean, just thinking about indirect
I just don't know if
measures.
that's legitimate because it's not like you're doing it in a bubble where we're like, yeah, the boundary of Old Lyme, no more geese can get in here from any other town.
Right.
Or if they're just gonna be like,
Well-
there's fewer geese on Rogers, like, we're gonna move in.
So.
And they just find a different spot to lay their eggs.
They're also doing, we have the wolves and we have the
Fireworks.
swans.
Are we gonna post signs that says your eggs will be added?
Like, yeah, I,
In goose
Okay.
language.
I didn't put that in here.
We're not gonna know.
Alright.
yeah.
Deep, deep.
Well, we'll find
came-
out.
I just wanna know what the measurement is. I'm hoping it works. Like, that'd be great. I just wanna know, like, how are we deciding
We'll
it's
ask
working?
Sarah for a minute.
Tim?
I have a suggestion here. So when we talk about quality improvement things, we talk about things that are easy to measure.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're indirect measurements. One of the things you could measure is how many people are calling you to complain about the geese. And you could, like, if the number of calls complaining about the geese decreases, I mean, it's a indirect measure, but you could say, look, there's been some appreciable difference here that I'm getting fewer phone calls about
That's on the
geese.
selectmen. The selectmen has recommended a budget
Yeah, yeah.
for egg addling. We can either agree
Yeah.
with it or not.
Yeah, so you may
They
not
get the
even,
call, it's not us.
you may not need deep to measure it. You could just indirectly track.
Or we could hire someone to measure how many geese there are.
Right, we
Which
get,
is a dumb thing to do.
How about this? Could you just take a daily picture in the morning and at night? And we won't count.
Oh my God, no, please don't do that. That's not an accurate measurement whatsoever. I'm just saying, they have a suggestion. I'm sure they have a measurement. I'm just asking.
I think the point is next year when we decide on this, we just want some idea. of-
Some idea of like
That's
what's,
all.
Absolutely. your
We
concern will be-
because I'm sure the budget's gonna go up.
okay, let's move on to fireworks. The fireworks budget
And
is,
Memorial Day.
And Memorial.
and Memorial Day.
But I think the bottom line is what we could have approved. But
Yeah. Yeah, you could have
Hmm.
approved the whole, but
That's all right.
Well, I'll move 29,500 for fireworks. and
Second.
Right. Fred, motion, David seconds, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That passes.
can I just ask it, what, Nita, you have in your notes, fire marshal working on the price, but you didn't want the final price. Okay,
Just take some fireworks off.
I have it
Yeah, that's all he's
in
getting.
my email from him.
Well, now you have a budget.
Right.
So
You just say, yeah, okay, 10 fewer fireworks.
here's how much we're gonna spend.
I'm just gonna tell you that we'll double check that because he did give me a very comprehensive budget of
Mhm.
not only the fireworks show. Did he send that to you? Okay, well, he has the fireworks show plus all the people that have to work with the fireworks.
Oh.
And I'm just a little leery that that is exactly correct.
It feels like the number of people working the fireworks show has grown immensely in the last 2 to 3 years.
Actually, it wasn't that many people last year.
Okay. Maybe it was 2 years ago that it just felt like,
Because I went up to the top to see how many people were out there.
okay.
And I also checked down below as I walked through the dark
Mhm.
field.
But
Maybe it was just that the
this line
emergency
item is
vehicles
not
were-
that. This
Yeah.
line item is solely for fireworks, literally for the group that we hired to do the
Okay.
fireworks is my understanding.
Yeah,
Okay.
mine too.
That's the
Yeah.
way it's been for a long
And
time.
we've got it too, and we did,
What's
we've
that?
got,
Yeah, it doesn't include like overtime for
Okay.
cops or any of that.
Right.
he did all that out so that we know what it would
I
totally
know.
cost. But he did also get a 2-year quote because the next year is 2026. And with the, is it
Sesquicentennial.
you had to book early, so we still booked from midsummer, so we wouldn't have an increased price.
Right.
So we got a 2-year quote.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like all that overtime should just be encompassed in like the police budget.
Well.
Well, I think it is.
Yeah, it is. It's already accounted for there.
Of course, okay.
Okay, next up is social services.
Real quick,
Yeah.
Don, just wondering, how's the revenue looking? Like, I know you guys, and I know we're not gonna talk about revenue right now, but just.
Right,
high
it's-
level, just
It's
curious
fluid.
how-
I got that information here. It's fluid, as you know, 'cause, but right now, as of
You need me?
a couple of days ago, we're at $107,030.
It's over
For
budget.
this year, starting.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
year.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
I think that's in line kind of with what you were.
yeah, it's up there and it's gonna get there some more.
When does camp registration open?
No preferences.
We're working.
Never.
Oh, I was on my computer at 7:55.
But it's tough to put it off the ground.
It's like buying concert tickets.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you'll get.
I got the last spot in aftercare.
Yeah, that's the hot one.
Yeah.
We pretty much accommodate everybody for day camp because we got some room at the.
You thought about
aftercare.
adding more spots for aftercare?
Yes, and we upped it considerably last year. From the
Uh-huh.
first year was like the pilot program.
Yeah.
So we're working on, it, but now we're working on some dates that we have the schools because of the snow day pushing things over to another week. So we're working on that right now.
Awesome.
How
But to
about-
answer your question, we don't know when you start signing up yet, but it's coming.
Don,
It
how
goes on
about
my
camp
calendar.
fees? Are you raising camp fees this year?
We really haven't talked about that, but next Parks and Rec meeting, I can bring that up. We can.
We
We
should.
try, obviously keep it as affordable as we can.
Yeah, I remember talking about this in past years, and my recollection is that we were relatively inexpensive compared to other town
We're very
programs.
inexpensive.
We're the best deal on the shoreline.
Yes.
Right. And I don't know, Martha's not here right now, who should have input into that decision. But, from a taxpayer standpoint, we would like to, charge a competitive fee that doesn't disqualify
Right,
our citizens.
right. Well, there are,
We offer
we do.
scholarships.
There's
If somebody
still,
Can't afford it.
right.
Well,
Yeah, we will put people in who
Yeah.
contact us and say,
Okay.
I'm having an issue or whatever, and we sign them up and take.
So if that's not a concern, in other words, if there's an escape valve for folks who can't afford it,
Does it pay for
then,
itself?
Yes,
then we should
It
be.
pays for itself.
Say
So
what?
Yeah.
the camp pays for itself. So it's not like we're spending any
yeah,
taxpayer dollars necessarily
Yeah.
on the camp. Like we have to front it, but we make it back in revenue.
could-
So we would just be charging extra to make money off of it.
What's wrong with that? No, seriously, right? Any dollar that comes in revenue is a dollar less that the taxpayers have to pay for the Parks and Rec in general. I'm not saying we should overcharge. I'm not even saying we should be the most, we should be at the top level. But, if the average town in our vicinity is charging $100 or something,
I would also
shouldn't
say
be
that
charging
our program is equal to the amount of money it charges. Like the programs that are significantly more
Yeah.
expensive do like field trips.
So I
and-
paid-
but
and that,
that's absolutely right.
yeah,
In other words, if we're
Yeah.
talking about fair market value,
yes.
we're talking about, you have to compare apples to apples.
Yeah. I mean, this is a fun camp, but it's pretty simple. I think
Yeah.
that
And it's 9 to 2.
it's not all day.
I paid $125 a week for Essex, but that was 9 to 4.
1994?
No.
No.
it was
$125 a week?
$125 a week.
Oh, my God.
I mean, we're $300 for 6 weeks.
That's a-
And then-
that's a
and then-
deal.
And then $50.
That
yeah.
is a deal.
Yeah.
And it's too good of a deal.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
I mean, I paid 300 and
That's
something
Essex.
dollars a week for YMCA camp. So,
Well, if it's
I
covering
mean-
costs, it's.
I mean, that's why this program is real. The fact that it pays for itself is wonderful and it's an amazing service to people who use it. And it's
All
really,
of the folks in Old Lyme that have an average income of $90,000. So, yes.
Mhm.
If you wanted to raise it $10 a week, you probably could.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's the point.
Yeah,
Yes.
we'll discuss
If
that.
we can, we're not on revenue, so
Yeah, and also there, there is a thing called inflation and we do increase wages and expenses come up. So it's a discussion you have to have where you come out. I can't
Right.
predict.
Like my soccer programs have been $40 or $50 for a long, long time because I can put the whole program on for 280 kids and not lose any money. So that's what I do for them.
The
Well,
cheaper it
your
is, the
point's-
more,
your
more
point's
kids
well
you're gonna
taken.
have.
Yeah.
And, means testing in Old Lyme does not happen. We are a rich town. We provide everything dirt cheap to lots of people that can afford to pay more. So
Yeah, but there's
just,
a lot of families who can't.
I understand that. That's why means testing is important.
I
So.
think that there's a lot of kids who then go without, and I see it in the schools every day with kids who don't come in with lunch because their parents won't fill out that form. And teachers give kids apples and snacks and things like that because the
Right.
parents won't fill the form out. So
Totally
like,
get all
I
the
think that
arguments.
if
I'm
we're
just telling you, if you
coming
haven't
in
raised
even on it-
rates
Right.
it's fine.
in 10 years, you need to think about like what you're doing. And nobody is shamed.
It's cutting costs, and I think it's fine.
Yeah.
I totally get it.
I mean, I
We're on
agree, like
revenue.
we should cover the cost of
Look,
it.
I got free lunch when I was growing up as well, right? So I get all the arguments from people who have money, who think about like how other people think. So it's not a shame type of thing.
No, I think it's
So
just easier.
People are paying $125 a week. They can pay a lot more. Maybe we should consider that, but that's on the revenue side.
Yeah.
If we can get back to like not be here until 10 o'clock for stuff that is pretty easy to get through, that would be great.
All those concerns will be addressed with
Thank
the
you.
Parks and Rec Commission before we get it all going. No doubt.
Commission and board.
Okay.
I'm done.
Well, thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Appreciate what you do for us. So thank you.
BJ, can I just ask that since Mary's here that we do LYSB first before we do
Did you
anything
wanna-
else?
Did he have anything for capital? That we
What?
talk about, or is he gonna come back for
Well,
capital?
Parks and Rec is usually all the capital, isn't it, through your Park and Rec Commission? Doesn't Bob do,
Later. There's not a lot going on anyways.
right? We just.
Well, let's take a look. That's a good
Yeah.
point. Yeah.
If there's not much going on, and
I think we did anything for you, did we?
No.
so there's no park and rec capital?
I don't see any park and rec in.
Kind of banking on the Haynes Park.
That's through Park, but that's through the commission. Right?
Park
That's through
boat
Park.
access, is that zero? That's just nothing. Okay.
Townwoods,
The Park and Rec Commission has some
170.
capital request for Haynes Park.
Okay,
But that would be done when.
Later.
Comes.
okay.
Um,
And the other one is a security camera fire alarm, and that's
gonna be Eric.
And that's Eric because of the fact
Page.
that with.
3 of capital. Park and rec capital fund number 26.
Right.
Where is it? What page is it?
Page 3 of capital.
Capital. Last capital, thank you.
This was the one that, it came from Tom, it was both in Tom's budget and it was, the Townwood Park.
Mhm.
And Tom Myers is still looking into a corrective cost.
Okay.
So this is because of the cameras for Townwoods Park. They used to be on the senior center.
Hmm.
So there's one camera that is on the senior center building for Townwoods Park. And it has to be remounted, newer camera with better.
Who reviews whatever comes out on the camera on a regular basis?
We only review it if somebody calls us to say, and we did have a FOIA request last year for someone who almost got hit by a car.
And so how long does the storage last?
The cameras in the Townwoods Park building last 30 days.
So you have 30 days and then nobody reviews it unless there's something that happens.
If I notice
Is that
something
right?
like somebody's putting their car tires around and I will look at it and try to identify people.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
The new camera that's out here, David, that is on the box, the that box, anytime there's movement there, Eric Olson gets a thing on
He
his
must
phone.
love that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's aware. He said, you know, I don't.
I'm just
pick it up.
making sure that
Pick
we're
it up
not
when I know
paying
it's a
for
dog walker,
technology
but-
that doesn't get reviewed, because that happens a lot. And then you have to upgrade it because it's 20 years old and no one's ever looked at it. So,
Right. I look
if,
at it is Tom is handling all the upgrades. for
if something
cameras.
happens, it seems like it's a needed thing. So that's good. So what about the 150 that we've got in here for generic improvements?
Is that for Haynes Park?
It is.
Yeah, that's the one that I want Bob Dunn to talk to you about when he comes for the commission. Because those are his plans with,
So that's fine. So.
Yeah.
Don can come back with Bob if you want.
No, but capital wise, the only thing that Bob really is responsible for would be that one piece, and we're good, right?
What happened to the gazebo at White Sands Beach?
I have an
Yeah.
update on that. I
Mhm.
don't
Oh,
think
okay.
you're gonna want to hear it, but I'll give you an
Actually,
update.
330,
Alicia sitting down.
150 is over several.
So I'll
years.
go over just
330.
briefly.
Yeah, I see that.
As you know, we had an appropriation for $90,000. And for the pavilion at White Sands Beach, and just today, we got our estimates from the Daco Engineering, who did it. So basically, just to build it is 113. And then with engineering and stuff, the whole total cost comes up to 173. So we have to have a moment to, the Board of Selectmen have not seen this yet. I just got it this afternoon. We haven't seen it. This is what Daco is proposing for the build, which is a roof and steel framing, which goes right into the concrete. So if it's floating away, it's all going together. And then concrete slab on grade, a foundation with piers and pile caps. It's beautiful design. It's not going anywhere. 16 helical piles, concrete sidewalk, ramp from the parking lot, and what he calls earthwork. So I guess the pilings, they have to have these, you know, the wrapped stones that are like, and have to go down and sit like this on the pilings. I've seen the pictures, and so that's what it is. And then we have to have scour protection. Well, that's an option. Maybe there's some other things. So it's 113 up for one thing and 140.
But this is likely in addition to capital, and so you need to talk to the selectmen first before it comes to us. So
Right,
this is
and-
just a
And
preview,
we're gonna
right?
have to see what they want to do. And the other thing is this is just an estimate from the engineering firm. It's not actually an estimate from, I mean,
Sure.
we've seen some lousy estimates from engineering firms. So they could be way high, they could be very low. So so the question will be, as Eric said, do we let them continue designing it at this point? So today they went down to do the borings to see how far they were gonna have to go down. And he said, continue with that, get those results, and then tell me what it's gonna cost to finish the engineering. And then we have to decide, do we finish the engineering? So we'll have the plan? Or do we stop everything at that train?
But again, tonight, we don't need to make a
You
decision.
don't.
It's
I'm
just
just letting you
an
know.
FYI.
FYI.
Yeah.
But can I ask a quick question? How long has the existing gazebo been there? How long has that served us?
It has served you a very long time, but we will not be able to let it remain up there for liability
I'm not
reasons.
asking that question, just.
I
how
think,
long it lasts-
well, they replaced chunks of it in order for it to keep on going. So like Ed said, it lifts up every winter just when storms and stuff come in. So then the whole bottom is gone. And so he has to go back out and they rebuild it. And like it has steel piping around it. And that was once wood. So, and the roof comes off and then they put the roof back. So like it's
Required.
it's-
along the way.
it's lasted a long time because of the Public Works Department maintaining it, but doing an awful lot of work to keep it maintained.
Yeah, it's a
So,
splinter fest right now.
yeah, it really is. So I think it's that decision, like, do we just buy something simple and just keep doing that to it or not?
John and I had that same idea today.
Yeah.
Maybe just put a Trex platform down, throw some poles up on an overhang. and say,
If it
"Okay, call it
fails
a day."
away, then it
I mean, it is a
floats
small beach. It
away.
doesn't get a lot of, this isn't a huge public attraction, so.
It is for the people that live in White Sands, but
It has-
Also true.
It's actually though, well used throughout the summer, lunchtime,
No.
big time. The teenagers love to hang around up there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a big place, but it is loved, and I think
So
LYB also at their beach.
I mean,
day
also
uses it.
180 grand or 200 grand or whatever it ends up being is, and if it's gonna last 20 years, that's
I
not a
think it
bad
lasts
thing.
like 30.
This is just an FYI anyway, so
Yeah, I'm just
you're gonna
saying.
get some more detail and
Yep, you
come
got
back
it.
to
All
us.
those
Yeah.
things,
To answer your question, that gazebo's down there, been down there for 30 years.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
In multiple pieces.
Depends how many cars it is, or how many times they set it on fire, you know.
John and I would prefer not to be building it this summer.
He's not joking. It's been set on fire on several occasions, like on purpose. Like it's not, this thing, it's amazing that it's still there. So like how many gazebos is it actually? Like, that's
And it's John, how many
Let's move
storms
on.
has it
Yeah.
glided through and it just doesn't come down? It doesn't come down. We thought it would, but it didn't. Okay, let's.
Mrs. Seidner, would you like to come talk to us?
Thanks, Don.
Thanks. Thank you.
back to. Oh, yeah.
Welcome.
Do you have my,
It may be here, but the bottom line I notice is that there's no change.
it's not,
99,000 this year,
Mhm, that's right.
99,000 next
Mhm.
year.
Well, she's got this one, right? The operating budget.
Huh?
Yeah, we have that. It's
Yeah, we-
it's behind this. You know, how there's backups behind it.
Mhm.
And people do a nice job.
just checking that you found it. I brought copies with me if you want to see it.
I'll move the 90,000.
Second.
99.
I'm sorry, 99, yeah.
Still second.
Put my glasses in the right part of my nose here.
Are you using that ruler I gave you?
Just the 9/16 part.
Just a couple updates about LISB. You may have noticed we're got some renovation going on our building. And we applied for a grant last year, which was a total long shot through OPM, a nonprofit grant. They come out with every few years. And it's for capital improvements, which is very rare for nonprofits to have access to that. And so we applied to renovate the main office building and with 75% of the cost coming from the grant and 25% coming from our savings. And so we actually did receive that grant. So so in my operating budget here, I have that in here. We actually expect to complete the entire thing this fiscal year, hopefully. And but right now we are we're ahead of time on our schedule and we're slightly under budget. So we're pretty excited about that. And it's upgrading the entire building. We're going to have HVAC. We're actually going to have insulation in the building now, which is a big improvement.
Update the corn cobs?
Yeah. Mhm. There was, when the walls were opened up in my office, all the insulation was newspaper crinkled up, which was interesting. So it's going to be a big improvement for us. We are rearranging the floor plan quite a bit too. Quite a lot of donated services are in this project. Our architect donated his services. We have a project manager who's donating his services, a designer who's donating her services. So it's wonderful. So it's a real community project. So that's taking up a lot of our time. And one thing I would like to mention too is we are still enjoying our federal drug-free communities grant, which is $125,000 a year for 5 years. And we are currently in year 5. There is a year 6 through 10 competitive grant process, which we plan to apply for. And we're very optimistic about it because we have great track record with the first 5 years. This grant pays for a prevention coordinator on our staff, plus all the related activities, and it even pays for a portion of my salary and some other salaries. And this is why I'm not asking for a percent increase and haven't always received this grant. So the grant was supposed to be announced in January and with a deadline, an application deadline of late March. We've hired a grant writer to help us write it, but the grant has not been posted yet. And we are just waiting and waiting and waiting and not sure where it is. So we're a little nervous about it. We've gotten through the year 5, we've gotten a few federal from our grant is managed by the CDC. So we've gotten a few notifications about stopping certain actions, which we're not even doing. But so I'm imagining that they're rewriting this grant application and not ready to launch it. But that is a concern for us. So when I prepared this budget, I was planning on having that grant, and so
So Mary, obviously, all federal money at the moment is
it's all in
up in
question.
the air in
Right.
question.
Mhm.
If you don't get the grant for whatever reason, what will you do? What would you? What's the array of
Okay, so.
choices as
Right,
to
right.
what you
So
might
our
do?
board has been talking about sustainability of this, of the prevention programming. And there definitely would be a change, our prevention coordinator would probably reduce to part-time, and the amount of programming that we do would be reduced as well. But, and so we are prepared, we have a couple endowed funds in our endowment with small that are restricted to prevention. So we would use some of that money that we haven't been using. We've just been letting it grow for a little while. So we would look for other grant opportunities. We probably have a year in there where we're kind of searching, kind of a little bit in recovery and making a plan for the year after,
Mhm.
where we may, have to eliminate or downsize, but which would be a shame. But we're optimistic about this year 6 through 10 grant. Should it come out soon? The federal calendar is different. The grant we have right now goes until September 29th. So
What are the principal activities that the grant funds?
the grant funds all kinds of mental health and drug and alcohol prevention programming and needs assessment and community programming. So, and we work quite a bit with the school, quite a bit with the police and other community agencies. So, and
Has the need for that been growing? Stable or?
well, it's, it's certainly very obvious that funding works, and so when you look at our prevention coalition was created 15 years ago, the rate of underage drinking in our community was higher than state, national and regional averages, much higher. And so then when we started to receive funding, and at first it was state funding, and we hired a part-time prevention coordinator. And soon as we implemented, had a professional on our staff and started implementing strategies based on the data from our surveys that we do. The numbers every year, we do a survey every 2 years, and every 2 years you'd see the numbers go down, 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 down. Until finally they're mirror national averages and state averages. So, no amount is good, but no, at least we're not way up there.
So Mary, in the budget for
Yeah.
24, 25, you have $200,000 of investment income. And you have nothing basically for 25, 26. You have 125 grand for the drug-free communities grant.
Mhm.
If that went away, first of all, you've got $2.4 million
Mhm.
in the bank in essence, right?
Right. Mhm.
So at 5%, that's 120,000
Mhm.
bucks.
Right.
That's not here.
Correct. Mhm.
Because
Why is that?
So you're asking why we don't take more from our.
Well,
Let me
you
think.
budgeted
Right.
last year $200,000 just of income, not going into principal,
Right,
right?
this money, the 197, is that the one you mean?
yes,
Yeah.
Yeah, that is, so the renovation grant that we're having from the state, so 75% is coming from the grant and 25% is coming from us, and that's what that 25% is.
No, but if you have
Basically,
$2.5 million in the bank,
you're saying the interest could pay the grant.
where's the income from that $2.5 million in the bank?
For next year?
Anywhere?
Is it an investment? Is this I think, Dave, you're assuming the 197 is is the income that they're making off of the investment account. And I think she's saying that's just the money they took out
We're taking out,
of an account that they have.
Well, but let's.
maybe it's not labeled
Let's put
correctly.
a, let's put a finer
But
point on.
that's income.
Well,
That's an operating
necess-
statement. That's not a balance sheet item.
It's, she's saying they have an account, they took out that much money out of it.
And
The
it,
principal as well.
and income
That's,
may
that's
be-
totally different. That's a balance sheet item. That's not an operating account.
Right. So let's go back to basics so we all.
I
are
think
on the
she's
same
calling that
page.
income.
Right. So you have 2 million plus
In my endowment.
in the endowment. And is that invested in income bearing instruments
Mhm,
at more or less 5%?
mhm.
So
Yes.
that should be generating about $100,000 a year in income,
Mhm.
right? Interest income. The 197, therefore I infer isn't all income. Some
No,
of it was
it's
drawing
not.
down from the capital.
Right, and and that label probably is inaccurate, right?
All right.
But
But that's fine, regardless of what you had in this year's budget. My question and Dave's is, why is $100,000 of prospective income not
Mhm.
included in this budget?
that's a good question. I mean, we have been in the habit of not taking as much and very little endowment income into our operating budget. And that started out,
Then you'd just be increasing your endowment, which is a good thing.
exactly, we let the endowment grow because at one point there was a large mortgage on the property and the board made the decision to pay that off from endowment principal. And so then we were just letting the endowment grow for a number of years to recover. And we
Mhm.
just stayed in that habit, honestly. And the endowment has continued to grow and grow and grow. And we know that when the day comes when we don't have this large grant to fund the prevention, that's where we're going to turn. But at this
Well,
point,
that's what,
But my point is, if the 125 goes away,
yes, there we go.
you don't have to touch your principal at 2.5 million bucks and
Mhm.
you're going to be fine.
Right. And that's our sustainability plan, honestly. I mean, we
I
separately.
think you're sustainable is my
Okay,
point.
yeah.
But BJ's original question was, if this 125 goes away, are you coming back to us 6 months from now?
well, I wasn't,
Which is,
well,
well,
it's possible, right? But to your point,
you're right.
we
I
found $100,000
right.
that can go toward that program,
Right.
hopefully.
Right. So I think that as a Board of Finance, if we approve what has been requested today,
Yeah.
we're going to feel comfortable, no matter what happens with that 125, that you guys are going to be okay.
We're gonna be okay.
Yes.
I mean, we might reduce, what we, without the grant, we might reduce the programming.
But I don't think you need
feel it's
to.
not necessary.
And again, not digging
Mhm.
too far into it.
Right.
I don't think you need to do anything. If the 125 goes away,
Mhm.
you're making at least 5% on the
Mhm.
$2.5 million that you have in the bank
Mhm.
that will make up the difference that's not in your budget right now. Right? You've been adding to your balance that's in your bank account in
Right, we've
essence.
been.
Yeah.
Just letting it grow.
Yeah, that's right. So from our perspective as a Board of Finance, we don't want to be surprised, halfway through the year
Mhm.
if you're in crisis, because we need to address that. And so we want to address that now. I don't think that that's a problem. And so that's why I would support just the amount that's being requested right now,
Mhm.
rather than maybe have some provision if that 125 went away.
Right.
Which was initially what I thought was, if the 125 goes away, holy cow, do they have any money in the bank or do they have any earnings that could make it up? And the fact is that you do, and you're in a good spot. So
Right.
that's a good thing. Yeah.
If that 125 goes away, I certainly would come back and give you an update.
Yeah. But you don't have to can
Right.
anybody. And
No, no.
I think that your services will remain as they should for at least a year. And then
Right.
we'll see
We'll
what
reassess.
happens. Yeah.
Right. Mhm.
Because the grant probably will be re-upped as well. So.
It probably will be, and it's competitive and maybe we won't get it. I'm assuming we will, but and part of this grant program does require you to have a sustainability plan. This grant program will go away one day. You can only get 10 years and then that's it.
So
So-
there's a balance there too. If you show that you're too prudent,
Yeah.
it's like anything else. You go to the person that's been prudent their entire life and you ask for money after you've gone to Disney vacations for 20 years,
Yeah.
So you guys are doing a great job. And so don't do too good of a job in terms of your fundraising and your
Okay.
balance, et cetera, when it comes to grant writing. But so I would support the amount that has been requested right now
Mhm.
with the understanding that that 125 could go away, but you guys could make it up for a year while we kind of figured something out, right?
But it sounds to me like Lyme Youth Services Bureau is alive and well and doing more every year, and
Mhm.
everybody appreciates it.
Thank you very much.
When do you
Yes.
think your ribbon cutting will be?
I'm not sure. Our contractor, our general contractor is Steve Wood.
Yeah.
And he is estimating July-ish.
Okay.
And the grant requires you to spend it within 12 months of signing the contract with the state, which is kind of hard when you're doing a giant renovation. You know, if it was just a small project, it would be, so that deadline is, I think, August 23rd, but I think we'll be okay. So again, 75% is coming from the grant, 25% is coming from me. So I'm spending the 75% first, and then my 25 will come at the end, just in case for this.
That's a
August.
good grant.
Isn't it
Usually it's
great?
the opposite.
Yeah.
You gotta spend your 25%.
I know,
first.
it's great. So it's been wonderful. And this is a grant that is available to nonprofits that provide human services. So if you're receiving any kind of state funding, and we do receive a small amount of state funding, so then therefore I was eligible. So.
Great.
Okay.
Does anybody have any further questions of Mary? Okay,
I think we've got a motion in a
Yes.
second,
Yeah,
right?
we already do.
we have a motion that's been made and seconded.
Mhm.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mary.
Thank you, Mary. Martha, do you have any comments on social services? We can see the increase, adding 52 hours, which increases the salary line from 20.8 to 23.9.
We also added $1,000 on a new line, homelessness services.
Yeah,
And the reason for that is because part of Sustainable CT, which we're hoping to go for our goal, has to have some money in the social services account for homelessness issues. As you can see, she said we'd reimburse through the social services fund. So for the instance, this summer, we had a homeless person, and we did pay $300 to put them up at a hotel for 3 nights. Basically because it was a situation where it was at Soundview Beach and it was over the 4th of July weekend. And we didn't need any more
It was at our
disruption.
bus shelter, our $150,000 bus shelter, right?
Mhm. What?
it was,
No, it was at the Shore Inn.
No. I mean, where they were originally homeless and they were staying in the bus shelter.
No, they actually were sleeping down on the picnic tables at the beach.
Okay.
And so the police were a little concerned that over the weekend it was going to cause some problems.
But it's a placeholder because we could get a grant from
But she would
government stuff.
reimburse through.
Yeah.
All right, I'll make a motion for the 26,008.
Second.
any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Motion passes. Social services agencies.
New London Homeless Hospitality as well.
Yes,
So
they asked for an increase to 2,500. And we decided that we would leave that up to you. We were fine with the 25 and we put the 25 in the budget, but then they sent us a letter asking for 5 just before we finished up. So I think the letter is in the file,
So-
right? It's behind, there's backup documentation.
So the number we're looking at here is maybe the 10, if we're including that
What do you
in the,
mean?
in
They're
the,
including,
What do
no,
you
it's the
mean?
7,990, I think, right? Or no?
Well, 7,990 is the Board of Selectmen's recommendation that does not increase the homeless hospitality budget from 2,500 to 5. So I think the question before us is, do we agree with that?
I have this much.
Oh, so the change actually is, it's just
change is in-
It's all in
miscalculated.
the homeless hospitality.
So, no, but it's miscalculated because if I look at last year, the budget was 7,831 and the ask is 7,990. And so.
It's actually 1049.
No, 1049, the blue column is what people are asking, the yellow is the board of selectmen recommendation.
Right, so
change is-
the change is based on the ask, not the selectmen's.
Correct.
Okay. So that's why I've been off on all of my
Oh, I'm
calculations. So the selectmen's budget is the one that we should be considering, not the ask of folks.
Like I said, the
So-
letter came in after we had gone through this, so that's why
Yeah.
if we were assuming it would be the same ask it had been the years.
Yeah, so I'll move the 7,990.
Do you want me to base it off of the board of selectmen?
Well, but Dave's made a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, then for purposes of discussion.
Yeah.
Take a look at the letter from the center dated December 16. That's toward the back
Right.
of your
Yep.
insertions.
I'd like us to consider a slight increase.
So I will just tell you that we don't have a homeless center here in town. And we would send someone to the homeless center. The person we had this summer had a dog. So we had to wait for availability up in Wyndham because that's the homeless center that takes animals and people and keeps them together. And so we couldn't send them to the New London Homeless Center. But this would be Amy's first spot if she needed a homeless situation.
Okay.
So I have an ethical question to ask. Just, I volunteered there for 8 years, so I'm kind of attached to it. I know the work they did, and they do great work, and they take people off the street throughout the year. Anyway. Should I recuse myself from voting?
No, not at all. We're all on multiple things, unless you benefited personally, because you spend a lot of time sleeping at the homeless center.
That hasn't happened yet, but you know,
Fred, this is kind of a generic letter describing, why this is important, which is not news to me. But my question, and you may or may not know the answer, is, has the demand for the needs of the homeless center been increasing year to year, and have other sources of funding been diminishing? In other words, what's the rationale for increasing our contribution?
I volunteered for 8 years. The population went up and down, so I don't know where it stands now. They do take in a lot of people. I don't know their external funding, how that stands.
Yeah.
We don't have a balance sheet. We don't have like their budget from last year, what they've taken in or any of that stuff.
Martha, what are your thoughts?
I think that homelessness in our area has increased. I know that we've had a lot of requests. Amy's had a lot of requests, not just from senior citizens, but from other people who are behind in their rent. We've had to be very careful to make sure that we've dotted every I and crossed every T to make sure any money that we've given has been for a real reason and not just that they're throwing their money away. So I can say that Amy would probably say that, she'd like to make sure that if she needed the homeless center in New London, that it would be available to us. And I'm sure it would with 2,500 as well, but it's just the need that's growing. It's not going away. And if people become unemployed, we're going to see more of it.
Yeah, and I think we should have no objection to funding homelessness coming from other towns, but do you know whether any what is the amount of utilization by Old Lyme
I do not.
folks?
I do not. I only know that during the summer, we placed a couple of phone calls to see if they had beds.
Mhm.
Apparently, we couldn't avail ourselves of because of the.
Well, one was because of the dog. Another time they were full.
So what concerns me is it's a big jump. We're doubling the amount. There's lots of good causes. what also happens is once you go to $5,000, you never go there. Like that will be the threshold. So I think, like, there's a bunch of good options for social services. I want to just be careful that we're thoughtful, that we're not like, because you could make an argument about a bunch of these, that
Absolutely,
they're all
absolutely.
really, and they are, like, I go down the list, I'm like, oh, these are all great, like all these, but I'm a little concerned about doubling this particular one when you don't know the usage, we don't know the financials. It feels a little off to me.
Yeah, and as I said, from a moral standpoint, there's no reason we shouldn't support the broader community. But it isn't obvious to me that we should do it with taxpayer dollars. I mean, Barbara and I, contribute personally.
Do we want to maybe approve
support
this tonight?
social
And then
services.
Martha, you can ask them for more information about why they're asking for doubling of the budget.
That's a good.
Approve the selectmen's budget. And then if you want to come back, we can
79.90 or
change it later.
Yeah.
We can do that.
If we have no utility whatsoever, like, it's not really worth it to me. And we had a big growth in funding over the last kind of 12 or 15 years of nonprofits.
We've
And
tried to bring it down.
yeah, and we've kept things flat, and we have a lot of nonprofits in town
Yes, we
and
do.
all that stuff. And so it tugs at your heart and your mind as well. And so I would support the motion that's already been made. And then
I guess
if there's a compelling reason,
Yeah.
look, if somebody needs an extra $1,000, Fred, give me a call. I'll cut them a check, right? But I don't think it's fair to burden Old Lyme folks, taxpayers, with somebody who feels compelled for a particular nonprofit is my only point, right?
Yeah, I wasn't gonna advocate for the increase to 5,000. I guess my general thought is, we know expenses increase over time. I mean, they just do. So
Electric.
at some point, and that applies to all these,
That's true.
we should be prepared, I think, to
So
increase some of these.
If you're suggesting going from 2,500 to,
500, something like that.
yeah, $500 or whatever it is because of inflation, because it's been flat for a long
Yep.
time.
That's kind of where I'm coming from. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that doesn't seem unreasonable, but,
But if we need better information to base this off of, then that's.
or maybe not to burden, Martha's got lots of things to do, right? So if we can agree this,
Fine with that. If you make
and
your
then we
motion.
don't have to come back and Martha's done, an hour's worth of work on stuff.
So that's where I wanted the discussion to go.
Yeah. So I would amend, I think of my motion, right? I would amend my motion to approve the 9,900, I think it is, or
Well, it's 79.90.
7,990. And increase that to 84.90. Is that the right math?
And increase it to 50,000.
Mhm.
And we go up 500 on them.
Yeah, and again, I personally, and as a member of this board, have no quarrel with that. But as somebody said, maybe you, David, there are a bunch of other social service agencies here that ask for and get less money. So it's difficult to decide. In other words, is the aggregate amount that the taxpayers are paying the right number? And is it fairly allocated among all of the needs? I mean,
Two good
there's a soup
questions. yeah.
kitchen.
Yeah.
There's other stuff. I have no quarrel with raising this by $500, but it's kind of, part of a longer conversation that we probably don't have time for tonight.
Right. There should be a discipline of some sort. So that it's not a 10-minute conversation.
Mhm.
It's just, this is what our policy is or whatever it is. Yeah.
All right, so you've amended your motion to call for an increase of 3,000 for the homeless center and therefore 84.90 for the total.
Correct.
And who seconded?
I did.
You want to second that? Are you willing to second it?
Yes.
Okay, so that's the motion. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? 84.90 it is.
But I would suggest to them, maybe if they're gonna ask for more money, that they also send us their financials next time. When you go back to them. Say,
In our use or in this
yes,
particular.
especially in usage, like
Sure.
just more information about it.
Yeah,
Got it.
because we have others that are also outside of Old Lyme that they make arguments,
Yep.
hey, you know, folks are making use of our services, et cetera.
So before you look at Online Visiting Nurses Association, I just want to make you aware of a situation that came to our attention yesterday. During the VNA meeting yesterday afternoon at 1 o'clock. Someone from the Southeastern, it used to be called Southeastern VNA. I don't know what they call themselves now. But they're now part of Yale New Haven Health, and I think some of you may have seen an article in the Day this morning where Martha Marks is against policy, but they have decided to take away wellness as part of their program. So that means that we're losing our town nurse.
What?
We're losing our town nurse. We're losing the flu clinic. We're losing blood pressure clinics, feet clinics, all the things that we used to do.
She's very busy.
She's extremely
And,
busy.
and that was paid by the VNA?
It was
It
part
was
of
a
their
VNA
program.
nurse.
Do you know what
So-
the aggregate cost to this has been?
No, I don't, because we just, so
Just got the
basically
information.
Karen, and I can't remember her last name, but she's in charge of the VNA in
I think
New
she
London.
come in and talk to us before.
Who?
Karen.
I think Cindy Taylor, hasn't it been the people from VNA?
She had several people in here one time. Remember we were talking to them, they had an endowment, they asked for no money one year because they
No,
were gonna,
that's our VNA.
yeah, but she had
That's-
somebody else in here with her.
I don't know who that is, but I don't remember anybody from Yale New Haven Health VNA. coming.
Okay.
So all I can tell you is that the VNA people board were like shell shocked. I was supposedly supposed to have gotten a letter on Friday from a vice president. I did not. Supposedly it went out to all regional select people and mayors. I did not get my letter. I still haven't gotten it today, even though Karen emailed me yesterday and said you'll be hearing from them. I have not heard from them. We are building a senior center with a nurse's office in it. And and when I left the meeting yesterday with them, I said, oh, by the way, here's the bill for the furniture that you said you'd do. And I said, "Oh,
Can we send some of the furniture back?
no,
and Subsidize this position?
well, you're gonna
Well,
need a desk
Yeah,
for the
but
office
the
no
short of
matter
it
what.
is, this is a valuable service for the town.
Yeah. So
and we
anyway,
have to
they don't,
address it.
they're planning on a letter campaign. The article in the paper this morning was Martha Marks, who works for VNA, is very upset that they're deciding to do this, and it affects 8 towns and staff members. Remember, some of our area towns rely on VNA also for their school nurses. They will continue to do that because they pay them for those. It's a contracted service, but they also do other town nurses, and those will be going away as well.
Is it
I
the Yale?
give, people give to the Old Lyme Visiting Nurse Association.
That's-
Where does that go?
It goes to what they do for services.
Who's they, though?
The old line
Old
visiting
Lyme
nurses,
So
not the Yale VNA.
We don't support it 100%.
So I guess
Their budget exceeds
Martha,
what we give
Cindy
them.
Taylor, if you look at Cindy's, it's in here. Cindy Taylor provided you with some old line VNA information.
So Martha,
Well,
the
the
way
num-
this relates to what we're talking about for the budget, but potentially they could be coming asking for additional support so they could take over those wellness services.
They have no idea which way they're going.
Okay.
They were
Well-
totally.
So well, we have a single line item.
Yeah.
No, I'm
And so it's
just letting-
6,500 and now it's,
But I
or
think-
65,000, now it's
but I think Cindy gave
50,000.
you a
It's
little bit
this.
about what
It's
they
just
do.
a spreadsheet.
But I'm confused as to how it's funded because I thought that was, I
hospitality.
thought it was all Old Lyme based.
No, not. Because that's how they get our services for a town nurse.
So they collect my donations and others, right?
And they do a lot
And,
with.
and then the town gave them $65,000 last year.
Mhm.
Why don't we just have a town nurse that we've hired? For,
Because you don't like to hire full.
Well, I think,
Not me,
I think if you look in their budget here of everything that they do, she's got it pretty well laid out. What their income is and then what their expenditures are. And it's all on Old Lyme stuff. You know, like here's the flu clinic, insurance, their contract with VNA Southeastern Connecticut.
How much is that, by the way?
55,000.
Right.
Well, because they give them all the supplies, like the gloves and everything. Like if you go in,
I have plenty
to-
of gloves and that sort of thing. My point is,
oh,
if all of a sudden, so tonight, I don't think we need to do anything tonight.
I think
right?
we should
Just to
wait on
move
it
thing-
too. Yeah, I
Move
agree.
things on.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
want you to know, it'll be a month before we have an answer, because they don't meet again until the first Monday, second Monday of the month. So they will
But
not-
we kind of need that because if they're not doing anything for us, 50 grand is not the number.
they're
It's
definitely-
zero. And then we need to hire a nurse who is Old Lime's nurse.
Well, I think they would hire the nurse.
Who's that?
The old line VN.
It's like that's where I think the contract for the nurse comes from. Like that 55,000 is her salary because there's no other salary expenditure. There's no other number that's big enough to be that.
I'm confused about the entities that are involved here. That's it.
There's two different entities. There's the Old Lyme VNA,
Yep,
and then there's the VNA of Southeastern Connecticut.
yep.
That's the one that's taking away the wellness and a town nurse. They're not gonna fund that anymore.
Right.
Right.
Old Line VNA is still gonna be able to do all the rest of this
All
stuff.
the rest of this.
So we essentially paid for our town nurse out of the money that we gave them, except that the rest of the stuff is also.
Well,
But that's what I'm saying. We have to
We're
replace.
paying a contract fee to Yale to cover the cost of that nurse, and Yale's
Is that
probably
the
picking.
only thing we're getting for it?
The VNA, say, contract is $55,000.
Yeah.
Is that just for the town nurse?
And well, unless they also, I know they provide her with this is very confusing.
Here's, right, here's my question, Martha. Whatever is happening, we want the same services last year that we have now provided to our citizens, right?
Mhm.
So if Yale, New Haven, Yale doesn't have any money as far as I remember, right?
Yale New Haven, it's.
Yale generally doesn't have any money,
how
I'm
do you
pretty
say
sure.
that?
No, I'm being facetious. They have an ungodly amount of money. They pay any property taxes in New Haven and, you know, but,
David, let's just let this weigh out for a couple of weeks. They're gonna look.
but
at
that's,
other-
that's,
They're gonna look at Hartford Health to see what their type of well-being programs are. They're
that,
gonna look to see what. other-
that's what I'm saying.
So we should skip this.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could skip it and we can come back to it, okay?
Let's
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah, we're skipping that.
Well, but saying that, I think, and we can take a poll if you wish, I think there's a lot of support for maintaining our town nurse.
That's my
one way
point.
or another.
But whatever we're doing, we should continue to do. That might change a whole bunch of other line items, or it might just change one. Who knows?
Yeah.
Put grid lines
So-
in. The worst reading
What?
Excel spreadsheet I've ever seen.
Well, I think the other super confusing thing, because I remember her coming and talking to us about this, is that they
Cindy.
have, yes, Cindy has a very large endowment fund. And they try really hard to not ask us for any money when they can
Pull from it.
pull from it.
Yep.
And she did that beyond before 22, 23, the last time when I was on the board. And you were like flabbergasted. You were like, you're not asking us for any money this year. And she was like, no, we're paying for everything out of this fund because we have this investment income that's just more than we need. And you were like, nothing, really, truly nothing. She's like, nope, nothing. And so that year we just did nothing. But then she came back the next year and was like, yep, we don't have the same investment income because we spent a bunch of money out of the endowment. So now we have to ask you for more money again. And like, that's why this number like fluctuates all over the place. So it's a very bizarre thing, but they really don't, it seems like, ask us for extra money when they can get money from donations.
And they do.
So
Money from donations.
it's a really
But I
weird,
think we're gonna skip it. Let's just.
weird.
Okay. Estuary Transit District.
Mhm.
This is controversial.
Is it?
I'll move 18,240.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Motion carries.
I'll move the 23,546 for the estuary nutrition services as well.
And is that the, home meals program? What is that?
Meals on Wheels?
Yeah, I think
Meals on
that, I think
Wheels.
that is who does that.
Isn't it also, they do the lunches too?
I'll second that.
I don't think so.
I'll second.
So David made the motion.
Mhm.
Yep.
And Kim seconded.
Yep.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. And the abstentions, motion carries. Okay. Where's Mr. Vedante?
Are you doing senior
Go to
center
senior
next?
center.
Are you doing the senior center?
Where?
That's not on the
where's
agenda.
Senior Center.
Yes.
Okay, so it's fine. I mean, can move it down to, I guess.
Public Works is next. on the
Public Works is
agenda.
next on ours.
Okay. Well, Mr. Dante is very slippery smooth, so Mrs. Shoemaker's gonna do her best to prove him, make him proud.
I mean, this was reviewed in detail in one of those. Yeah.
And I will tell you this, we are going out to bid for road paving.
Excellent.
We have prepared the bid package. We are just getting our legal notice ready for the newspaper. It is going out and telling them that, although we really appreciate the person who's been doing it for us for years and we will invite him to bid. I feel that it is very important that we go out and bid on our roads and see what we get. So, Katie, got her a draft. We worked on it with Ed. Ed came in, he approved all the wording. And now we are moving along and I just have to get the legal notice ready to go in the paper. We're gonna do that. We are also going to go out to bid for the paving for the fire hose. Because that is also something where we got this rough estimate.
Mhm.
And, I think that we should do more than that.
And Martha, regardless of who wins the bid process.
Yeah.
Are we still planning on kind of the 20-year cycle, the current cycle that we have?
Yes, going out, yes. The only thing that I will say is that if the sewers go in, and although paving, repaving is of course included in that, you know that Ed is very particular about his paving on his roads. So, we might have to go back and fix a few things down there if he doesn't like them.
Mhm.
So we'll see what happens when we get there. Okay.
Is the engineer just right sizing that budget? That's going from 15 to 20?
Yeah, because in my budget, there's $1,000 for an engineer. Well, that's like a phone call and a half. And Ed said, why do you have the engineer in your budget? And I have an engineer. So we talked about putting it all in mine.
Mhm.
And then we decided that I should just take my measly 1,000 and give it to Ed. And raise his because our engineering costs for projects,
Yeah.
Mhm.
before we can get a bid, we have to have an engineer tell us what we have to do. So as Ed said, he doesn't call Jacobson, I do.
Mhm.
So it's gonna stay in his budget.
Yep.
But Ed and I'll decide who gets called when.
What's going on with beach cleaning? Why is that
The new
doubling?
guy.
Well, look at what it
New
was
guy.
this year. It was
I know.
18.4 this year.
Because we lost the guy that used to do it,
Harry,
Harry.
What's can liners? He's got that on there in the comments.
I think can liners is actually the liners for those big cans down at the beach.
Okay.
Could that be? Is that right?
So
Yes.
I think a variable on the beach cleaning is the weather, right?
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
amount of cleaning that's necessary. So this year was a bad year. Hopefully next year won't be as bad, but we
Yeah, but you
have to budget for it.
Yep, okay.
And there are not that many people that do it. Did you find a new one?
No, well, there's one as far as I know.
And so he provided us with a two-year contract a 2-year quote last year, so we could sort of plan on it. But I have to tell you, I would love to go out. Of course, Ed is, if we bought a machine, $90,000 to $100,000, and we'd be able to do it. But then I said, but then there's maintenance on it, and there's insurance on it, and we have to train the people to use it correctly. But I will say that I was at Soundview a couple of times on a Saturday morning after Anthony came through and cleaned, and I have to say, it, to me, it looked gorgeous. Don and I have had many conversations about the fact of cleaning White Sands on a daily basis. Matt Lynch also, he has said, a lot of these beaches, McCook's, they don't clean every day.
Mhm.
I mean, so I think we could be doing a little overkill. People are used to it. So I don't know how all of you feel, but
Well,
So
I
over-
think that's an excellent question. So let's discuss that. Let's say, is the contract flexible? So if we go to every other day, we cut the cost in half?
I don't know what, I think it's more on the weekends than it is on the weekdays, because I think he has fewer contracts that do a weekly, daily kind of thing. And definitely like 4th of July, it doesn't matter which day of the week, you've got to be there the day before, the day after.
It's a lot of diapers to pick up.
So let's talk about
Can we
it.
cut a day or two out of the week? Is that-
Yeah.
Or would he just not, I mean, if he's the only guy that does it, that just might be what he's charging. You know what I mean? Like, if he comes every day, there might be some benefit to him being like, yep, I come every day, I give you a price, but is it gonna cut it in half if we
So I
cut
know
it in
that
half?
he,
We're not gonna
Or
say
is he
a lot.
gonna be
You
like,
can ask him.
he made a
Right.
deal with Old Colony. No, I'm sorry, Old Lime Shores, that he could leave a dumpster up on the north side of 156 on some of their property. The part that's being saved for the bioxide station. And he left that there, and I think a piece of machinery there on a daily basis, so he didn't have to be parting everything.
But you guys have debated all of this stuff,
Yeah,
right?
I feel like this is what it is.
suggestion,
We
And
could-
so.
I mean, for right now, but I'm still looking, like, let's put it this way, if I can find somebody who can do it cheaper, or we change things, if we can bring it down, we'll change it before we get to the budget.
Yeah, we believe
Right,
it.
well,
So-
and you're not tied into a contractor by this budget, you just can't spend
It's what we
more.
budgeted, so-
Right, it's what's budgeted, so if you find a contractor who's
Yeah.
gonna charge you less,
Or if we decide to cut back.
you're empowered to
Right.
change that.
Yeah,
But if we budget less, it's a little.
But if we budget less, like, then you're stuck,
That's the point.
right?
I just don't know how many of you go to White Sands or whatever.
Well,
I'm not there.
I
I
know,
don't,
So, but BJ, I would like to make a motion to approve the 1,041,985 for Public Works.
Second,
okay, discussion. So my further comment on the beach cleaning, Martha, is as I would discuss with him the relationship between fewer cleanings and price, and seriously consider whether we really have to have them clean 7 days a week.
okay.
We don't at Edge Lee. We do it maybe every 2 weeks. Now, people bitch and moan from time to time, but it's workable.
On it.
there's probably
Um,
less people
Well,
eventually too.
maybe. The garage cleaning is going up from 30,000.
What's that?
Martha, do you know why garage cleaning is going from 30 to 40,000?
Garage cleaning.
Public Works garage?
There's a
Flashing
note on the
repair.
side. Is there a note?
That's tree removal.
Tree removal.
Yeah, tree removal.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm on the wrong line.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Except I will, tree removal, I will tell you the two that, Region 18 found a great guy, and 11 trees, $2,500. That they quote the other day.
What?
Is that Nelson?
11
No,
Worth them away.
Nelson.
the guy from North Branch.
Just chips it into the
11
woods.
trees for 2,500?
Wow.
They must be saplings.
In
They're
an old
stupid
line.
Expensive.
Okay.
Not my guy.
Motion on the
Okay,
table.
well,
I just have a question about the snow contractors too. That went up quite a bit.
Oh, and that's the other thing. Ed
7
wants,
to 12.
Ed wants to go out to bid on that as well. Now that I've taught him how to do a RFP, we're going out to bid for snow removal too for next year.
So that-
Doesn't he have an enclosed thing that we bought like
That's
6
for
years
here.
ago?
That's for, it's right down in the garage. That's for the sidewalks and. up
Just for
and down.
Lime Street.
We can't move it. I mean, I know that sounds crazy, but
Well,
like,
it's just for sidewalks.
there's other sidewalks.
So
I
what do you
mean,
need contract-
Cross Lane sidewalk has not been done. I was actually gonna call you about this today because there's kids that are walking on Cross Lane, not on the sidewalk,
Okay.
with the buses going by.
Well,
It's a-
Because they live down there and they usually are on the sidewalk, but the sidewalk
Okay.
hasn't been plowed yet. So I was actually wondering, I was like, do they move this thing to the other sidewalk, to that sidewalk? Cause that sidewalk has been there for a really long time.
I mean, it seems like an easy thing to load it on a trailer and drive it over there.
Yeah, I mean, if that's what they need to do, but I didn't know if they did that or not. Cause the other new sidewalk's been done, but I don't know if that's what the people who own property in front of those sidewalks, I don't know if those people, if they're the ones who are clearing it or if we're doing it.
I'll find out.
So, Martha, what are snow contractors?
I'm texting
It's
right
kind
now.
of fun.
Texting, get you the answer. What?
What are snow contractors?
I lived in
Contractors
Lebanon, I
are the
had
people
lots of
that
them.
do things like the
Lebanon, I had lots
firehouses
of
and
them.
things that save up the public works crew to do the 61 miles of road.
Okay,
the
so we
smaller-
have private contractors plowing the driveways and
Some of
parking lots.
the smaller venues. I don't have the whole list. I don't know if he's told you the entire list, but I know firehouses are one, police station is one. Those smaller areas that he really can't bring a big truck into and,
Selectmen's houses.
you know, absolutely not. They took down, I will tell you that they took down my mailbox for the third year in a row.
Oh, join the club.
Come on, mailbox.
And they asked me if I wanted a new one. I said no, and they repaired it and put it up. And I said, I will get another one next year. They said, your flag's gone. I said, I know you took that off last year. Okay, I said, I will live with it for the rest of this year and we will see where we go. But I was amazing because I did get quick service. But I will tell you something. I will tell you something too, that we noticed in another town that if you don't report your mailbox has been knocked over within 24 hours in Waterford, they don't repair it.
Mhm.
So you have to let Public Works know.
It's a
Michelle.
very short statute of
Because
limitations.
we should enforce,
Nobody
this
likes
should be part
Waterford.
of our policy.
Who wants to
Because
live in Waterford?
Somebody called 6
mailbox.
months
Hold on a
later
second.
and said, you took it down this winter.
Just gotta go kick that thing down tonight.
Maybe make it 48 hours or something like that, you know?
Yeah, because it's a
You
weekend.
get-
Someone's away, get
you
a
get-
chance to chat with their neighbor.
Yeah, that's what I just said. I said, it's gonna snow at 8:42. Maybe we should go kick our mailboxes down right now.
Well, let's get out of here before it
I know
does.
what
All right.
yours looks like.
Mine's already been knocked
All right,
down and
where
put
we
back
going
up and
next?
knocked down and put back up.
Oh, we're doing transfer station?
No, a
Municipal
motion,
No, we have to vote.
motion's been made and seconded for the 1
So
million
we have
41,985. Any further discussion?
Hey, that's not transfer.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay.
Right.
Any abstentions? Motion passes.
No, we got it.
Brad.
We gotta talk about, I don't have 1,300, where's 13?
It should be 213, it should be section 2.
213.
213, sanitation and recycling.
This is Fred's baby.
I got some good news for you.
Are we on municipal refuse collection?
Where are we looking?
It's in section 213, not 203, 213.
13. Yeah, sanitation, oh, makes sense.
I think some numbers can be adjusted.
And the title makes sense.
But Fred, you're gonna recommend changes to the board of selectmen members, is that right?
But the municipal refuse collection, the top line you can't change, that's contract.
Yeah.
I've been tracking the amount of recyclables and trash. And, the way this is trending, I can give it the numbers, but I think you can reduce basically the bottom line, the budget for the single stream recycling to 105,000.
From 120?
120, 15 off.
Take 15, make it 105.
And then you can also take 15 off of the municipal refuse tonnage. So 285 for that.
I'm sorry, what are we doing here?
Go, Fred.
I have all kinds of graphs and things like that too.
29.5.
Volume, or is that a function of cost per?
Did he change
So,
the 120?
So just so you know, the amount of trash basically is
Yeah.
very consistent from year to year. and follows a pattern. It goes up and then down and up again. And so for the cost though, for the recycling, this past year, the value of recyclables has gone up considerably. So that's subtracted from the amount that we have to pay to get rid of
For the
recyclables.
first time in a long time. We used to make.
So like a year ago, we were paying maybe like 120 a ton.
Yeah,
And like beginning last July and into the fall, it went down as little as like 70 a ton. It was considerable. Now, the issue is it's creeping up. I mean, the cost of, so the value of recyclables is decreasing. So the cost of getting rid of them is increasing. It's hard to predict how this goes, but I took like the worst case scenario from this point on, and it doesn't come up to more than 200, what did I say? 105,000 to get rid of recycling.
Mhm.
That's it from this point on. We don't get any money at all for our recyclables. We pay the maximum rate. So we may hopefully come in underneath that. So
Why are the numbers so low as of 12/31? Is that just a billing delay?
So the other thing is the numbers for as of December 31st, they're actually, those are not quite right. That's.
because you get billed,
That's as of November.
you know,
That's actually,
yeah, so.
That's
so-
as of 12/31, what we paid.
actually, it's
So you get billed for December and January.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that would be half if you
yeah,
did the math, yeah.
Okay, so we'll ignore those. But
those
you,
numbers should be higher. Yeah,
You
Right.
just got your January 31st ones.
they're very late with their invoices.
Yeah, they're getting
Yeah.
a different one. Too. It's a little bit different.
so you're advocating a reduction of 30,000 to the 1,059,000.
That's what.
So it would be 1,029,000.
Mhm.
1,029,500.
The other reduction, I think I requested 1,000 for the Waste and Recycling Committee, not 1,500.
But what, if they don't,
Wait, we're still on municipal
Oh, I'm
revenue.
sorry.
Are you going through the whole thing or are you just
Oh, I'm
doing
sorry.
that?
So BJ, do you want a motion for the 1,029,500?
Yep.
I'll make the motion for the 1,029,500.
Oh, waste expenditures. That's the expenditures.
Yeah, sorry, I jumped ahead.
Folks, let's put this behind us. So David has made a motion.
For 20,000.
And it's been seconded for 1,029,500. Any discussion? Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay.
Awesome.
Any abstentions? That passes. All righty, then recycling.
Do you have any way of knowing how much of our trash is compostable?
Not, it's just, you just take the, like, what's published.
Well, that's what I mean. Is there any-
25%,
Okay.
give or take.
You have a meeting this week? Did this week you have a meeting?
We
18?
canceled it. It'll be in March, will be the next meeting.
So is this number a net after reimbursement?
Recycling?
Yeah,
Fred, are you good with the recycling number?
recycling came from Ed.
Those are all from Ed.
But a note did come from you, but you said about using the NIPS money. Is that the, yeah, the NIPS money?
From whom?
That's from Ed, but isn't that under committees?
Yeah, I'm not sure that's,
I'm not sure what the expend is.
Was that?
So if we look at this, Fred, if you read the large box.
Yep.
How you're recommitting the funds, but
I don't know why that's there. That's sort of a separate topic, right?
that is not, shouldn't really be in this part of recycling. It should be under a commission.
Yeah.
And a committee. That's what they are.
Mhm.
Waste and recycling. No, this line is, well,
I heard it. It's
okay,
Recycling all items is the biggest thing, going up by 10 grand. What's up with that?
because it's more, where are you?
It is the Wasn't it the
All
brush?
items,
Would like to increase rates to 160
We
per
did.
ton.
we
So-
did.
So
Selectmen has, and it went into effect last week.
is the 40,610 a good number, Martha?
So. wait,
The bottom number of total of recycling is 40,610.
Yeah, except I just think this recycling waste committee expend, I'm not sure why that is there in that $1,500. I'm a little baffled by why that particular line item is in this particular.
I mean, they've
budget.
never spent any of it. Just throwing that out there.
So I'll move $39,110
And then Fred, we're gonna look at it.
for total recycling.
39,110,
110, which is the 1,500 less.
Okay.
and then we're gonna figure out where that's really supposed to go in under committees, because that's not.
I'll second that.
I think
Matt did.
Oh, you already did. Sorry.
All right, so the
You got it,
number is
Christine.
39,110,
$39,110. Yep.
right? You made the motion,
I did, yeah.
Dave,
And Matt
somebody,
seconded.
Matt seconded it. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Passes.
Hazardous waste is just for Rivercog. Our dues for the Rivercog, they send us the expected contracts for what our proposal is, so.
I'll make the motion for 17,000.
973.
For those refunds.
Second.
Anna seconds. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? That passes. And finally, the transfer station.
I had a question about the telephone expenses and internet. 400 per month.
And the reason for that is because, and I believe I'm right on this, but this is the new. Is this the telephone is the line?
The telephone's been there.
I know we do have a line, but the telephone shouldn't be up. I think it's because of the charge machine. The charge account machine that is now installed.
The dot matrix printer that I get when I
I was
go.
gonna say, it's on a phone line?
No, we have a new charge card machine now. So he just has to tap a card and take your payment.
But that would be internet, right?
Yeah, but I don't know why it's under phone.
Well, it says under the
Because he
notes,
plugs it in.
Yeah.
it says on the internet, $400 per
It's
month.
telephone and internet.
And it's about 400 a month.
That's a lot.
Wow. Yeah, that's like,
I feel like Tom may have given you this number. Tom Meyer. I don't, like.
I mean, Comcast is expensive, but not that expensive.
I know.
think so.
Like,
I think
that's a
my
loaded,
Comcast
loaded,
$100 every month.
that's a loaded cable package.
Yeah.
here.
Totally. And then if you have kids.
That might be something worth looking into. I don't know. Seems
Yeah, and I mean, it hasn't,
Waiting
as
for us
of
to-
12/31, he'll
Whole Frontier Fiber down my street.
It's,
And then I can
I
just,
mean, it's not really that far off of that number. I feel like that's really. a
Well, in the
lot.
last couple of years,
Yeah,
they've spent
that,
over
yeah.
4,000. So,
So it's not new.
yeah.
Something's funky with that. though.
Something's not right. Maybe we should look into that a little bit.
We can approve it, but,
And
It's
then
a Frontier out there
question.
for 50
but
bucks.
the biggest increase is contracted services,
and the contract with the.
EB exterminating,
Oh, boy.
Okay, this is
Uh-oh.
extermining.
reminding,
contract with-
do we have rats? What's
Is
happening?
Blackburn cinches for their, part of their uniforms that they wear, their shirts and things. The dumpsters,
But why is it going up 25 grand? That's the question.
according to this paperwork.
Okay,
I think because for whatever reason, they've already spent halfway through the year 90 grand.
Yeah.
They spent over 200,000 last
shipping
year.
and shred removal.
So they were at,
I have
Contract the chipper.
the chipper brush chipping, shred removal.
the town has not changed that much at all. And I'm looking at the 2021 budget and actuals. So I've got 130 grand, 152 grand, 159 grand, 203 grand last year. And now a whole bunch more.
Yeah, we're on track to do another 200 this year. What is, I mean,
That so when
Is the
you bring your
exterminator?
brush down to the section of the transfer station where you drop off brush and logs and things, when it gets high, Ed has to have a guy come in to do the chipping. And he comes in and he takes the chips away, etc. But he just switched contractors because he got a better rate. So he's found a better rate because he felt that he was being overcharged. And that's why I think you're seeing the increases and why we're we're more than halfway through the budget as of, and it's also, remember, he doesn't have them come every single month because not many people are bringing brush to the dump this month.
But are we also like Cintas, because we do this with our apartments as well. So we have people who have uniforms, they have to wash them themselves. Cintas charges us like a new shirt. If you have,
Don't think the expense for Cintas is that much. Remember, it's all put in together into that.
I know that it's part of this number. I'm just telling you. If we have guys at the dump that are not washing their shirts
It's not that.
themselves,
They also get jackets for the winter because they go out and plow. So they have public
But-
work jackets and heavy pants.
I do
because-
think like if Public Works needs a service to do cleaning, I can understand that there might be stuff on their uniforms that a home washing machine may not deal with as well. However, it would be good to like,
Cintas is not the right group
For
for
that.
Old Line, right?
Excuse-
Cintas is a group for the US military, right?
That's,
They're the most expensive group for uniforms that you can possibly.
they
Hi.
don't just do this, they do all of our mats in town hall.
Totally get it. We have mats too. Cintas is the most expensive group
That's
you can
not true.
possibly.
Okay.
because Katie Balaka went out when Tim was still in office and got quotes.
Okay,
And Cintas was cheapest.
if you even chose to do it, but whatever, it doesn't matter.
Well-
So the overall number though, Martha, is you're good with this number. Everyone's good with this number. So I will move the $1,458,189.
But wait.
No,
you
no,
wanna
No,
do
no, we've already done most of
three,
that.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. Transfer station. Yeah.
106.
And we only really need to do the total number there, $340,106.
That's right.
Perfect.
second,
On a second, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Passes. All right.
Sorry, Brett.
what are they exterminating over there?
Bug rats.
Like outside?
And I do find on your page.
Isn't that what dachshunds are for?
Like, yeah, isn't that like I don't know, I just feel like there isn't
You
that
need a
much
terrier.
rat.
You have a terrier. Or a ferret. Ferrets and terriers.
Like, what are they exterminating? It's just a little tiny building. Can't they put mouse
Well, they
traps
will,
on
little
it?
things.
And then.
Yes, they were bred to be.
And then they cut.
And a dachshund, a mouse would last.
If a rat is digging around in there,
They're
like,
so cute until you realize what they were
Years,
bred
like-
for.
if they're using that poison stuff to keep
my dogs.
the, like, that is so
Bred to
cheap.
hang with horses.
If that's really how we're
Totally
gonna
fine
use
with
it,
me.
they should be just putting that, refilling those boxes themselves.
We had a
It's
dachshund, she got herself.
utterly ridiculous to pay anybody to do that. You can buy it, but I don't agree with doing it. I also think like,
You could hear her barking at my
is
father.
anybody
finally had to
complaining that
just
there's rats at the dump?
reach in,
Like,
grab her collar. He didn't know where he was
Yeah.
going to grab her collar, not the muskrat, and just
I
pull her
They
out.
have a brand new building. It's up on stilts
about
for
the same
God's
size,
sakes.
by the way.
Like,
Yes, they are muskrats.
Muskrats are
Done.
pretty-
She was not a
Bus
very
barn.
big, she was a kind of a small dachshund.
All right, everybody, let's jump to the minutes of February
oof,
4.
minutes.
Start with any comment, discussion before we have a motion.
I just have one correction, DJ.
Yeah,
For the approval of the January 21st minutes, we said that Anna abstained. I also abstained from that as well, because I wasn't present. It's on the,
that toward the end.
yeah, page 4. You can add Mr. Olson to the.
Okay, so Matt abstained as well. Any other comments? Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, David and Matt, any further discussion? All in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Any abstentions to these minutes? None. Minutes are approved. Yay. And last on the agenda is Mrs. Shoemaker.
No,
Nope.
Oh, no,
Public
public
comment.
comment.
I gave you all my lovely comments at the beginning. I'm
Do
good.
you want to make any public comments?
No.
Anybody? Okay,
You're good. Motion to adjourn.
adjourn.
Second.
8:51.